Hi there, welcome to Island Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Scorpio energy. And we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives because everybody taps into Scorpio energy, and not everybody who taps in their Scorpio energy is mature. We're all on kind of different emotional maturity levels and lessons that we've learned. Um, Scorpio is emotional water sign energy, and it can be about willing to explore the mysteries of life. And some people keep their more emotional nature, intuitive nature, loving nature kind of buried beneath the surface. They don't, we have free will, and some people decided, nope, I'm not doing that. And so it can be that they're operating a little bit more from their ego, or a lot more from their ego, kind of more their defensive nature to being hurt. And some people can like being in relationships, but um, they just don't let their more authentic nature out to play in the world. And some other people who get in relationships with people like that can find it like they're missing an opportunity in love being in a relationship with someone like that, because they don't let their more loving, authentic nature out to play in the world. And, you know, shadowy Scorpio too can be people who just the in negative energy. We'll talk about it as we go. So listen to your intuition about how you harness your Scorpio energy, how other people in your life harness their Scorpio energy, and we'll go from there. So I view this as the overarching reason for the reading. It's a Ten of Pentacles, which is Virgo energy, but the Ten of Pentacles can represent that some people, are at living their life a certain way, and that's the way they want to live their life. I don't want to detach from it. I don't want to look at life any differently in a way. It can be kind of unbudging. And the Ten of Pentacles can mean that some people are very, besides kind of being in shadowy Virgo energy within themselves, being a little unflexible, unbudging, they can also kind of be more about the world and ego and image and money and materialism can be more important to them. You know, we have the Justice card, the Two of Swords, and the Devil. The Devil can represent making our life more about the world. And some people think it's just and fair to stay in denial of the truth of the devil, which can be, if they are more about themselves, inflexible, unbudging, more materialistically motivated, and that's why they do the things that they do, why they get in relationships, why they stay in certain relationships and get out of other relationships. They don't want to see the truth of it. The truth sets us free to live our more authentic life. Shadowy energy, kind of at the big picture represented by the devil, are all these things in the world that manipulate us. Part of what manipulates us, Virgo energy of the Pentacles suit, can just represent our worldly nature manipulates us. Being more about ourselves, immature, lazy, prideful, egotistical, lustful, greedy. If we let those things, if we don't want to see the truth of how those things manipulate us, those things will keep manipulating us. But while they're manipulating us, we don't see the truth of it. And it's kind of just and fair. At every stage of life that we go through, it's kind of just and fair. We have the free will to live our life whatever way we want. And some people with the sun in reverse, they don't want to see the truth. And they're happy staying in denial of the truth of all these things that manipulate them. They just don't kind of grow to their full potential. Because part of growing to our full potential is we go through these stages of life just like we did 18, 21, 25. As we live that phase of life, we kind of learned everything we needed to learn at that phase of life. And then you have to let some things go, kind of look at what are the good building blocks to take with me, and what are some of the things I've kind of learned maybe I should let go of, kind of like letting go of some of my more immature ways or stubborn ways or whatever. And then face my fears is what the devil can represent. Two, kind of in the Page of Swords, go to that next phase of life. And that's how we keep growing and maturing ourselves to our full potential. We go through a phase of life. Virgo energy is about learning lessons. But some people are like, no, no, no. I don't want to learn lessons. I want to keep, but it stays like in dead energy. We're not growing. We're not maturing. We're not facing our fears. We're not kind of shedding an old layer of ourselves to give birth to a new version of ourselves, like my nesting dolls over there. I was 15, I was 18, I was 21, I was 25, I was 30, I was 35. You know, each one of those phases of life, it was just and fair for us to, in our emotional like growth and development, to be at that phase of life. But then some people can just get to be where they're like, that's it, I'm good. I don't want anything to change. Well, that's not, the world is continually changing. Well, so continue. We have the Judgment, the Sun in reverse, and the Page of Cups. Um, some people think it's just and fair. You could look at the devil as representing our ego, and the Sun, Leo energy, can kind of represent our ego nature. Some people don't want to illuminate and invest in kind of their more hopeful, believing, loving nature. And that's fine. They can live their life like that. They just might, doing the same thing over and over and over kind of keeps us in a more, might keep us in our comfort zone, but it also might kind of keep us kind of more emotionally immature because we don't, they might not want to see the truth that they're more emotionally codependent just on the past. I have a way of living life, I have a way of viewing life. I want it to be like that. But part of living our own authentic life, here we have the Ten of Wands, which is fire sign energy, that we're our own individual. We're our own, we have our own unique ideas. We have our own dreams, and some people are like, no, 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 I don't want to take more creative inspired action in my life. I know some people or the family I grew up in or whatever, I want to do my life like they did their life. But those people live their truth. Nothing against any of you who might have called people all these same names in your family, but that kind of bugged me when people, it's like, why do we have to keep using a name that someone else got to pick how many decades ago? And who knows why they picked that name? But they had the free will to pick that name, and now everybody else thinks they got to pick that name in the family. That was their truth. That's what kind of motivated and inspired them. That was maybe the hip name in that era. Why do I have to keep picking that name? That's kind of what it makes me think of. And it's like, that's great that they picked that name. Nothing against the name. But I have my own life and I'm in my own generation or my own era. And if they had free will to pick their own name for their kid, I want free will to pick my own name for my kid, right? But some people, it is their fear that stops them from closing out a cycle. The tens can talk about closing out a cycle, and some people are like, nope, nope, nope. I'd have to. Generally, I view this when this conversation kind of comes up. It's generally like Taurus energy, but you know, Virgo energy is also our truth. And with the Ten of Pentacles, it can represent people in our life who live their life a certain way. And some people are kind of codependent on some people in their life, whether that's their friend group or their original family group or uh, the world at large, that they kind of let dictate how they should live their life. And if those people do life that way, even if it's overwhelming, that's how they're going to do their life. They might feel overwhelmed, want things to change, but they're only willing to move forward in life differently if those people are willing to move forward differently. It's kind of like people who, oh no, I'm not willing to be my own individual and speak my own truth and live my more authentic life. I might like things to be different, but until all these other people move forward, it's like it's the difference between the people who um, start new fashions and trends that end up everybody kind of gets on board with. You know, not everybody has to be like this inspiring leader in the world, but then some people are also really big followers in the world, and they're not somebody who would be willing to live their more authentic truth. And some of those people might find it overwhelming, but they're so maybe afraid of being a little more independent. And some of the people in their friend group or family group or how they view the world, it could feel really overwhelming. But um, some of those people also might feel overwhelmed. But if they're not willing to live their more authentic life and everybody stays in denial, well, this looks so just and fair, and we look like we're these just and fair people, but nobody's really doing love and nobody's really being more authentic. And the whole thing is, some of you might have dealt with some people like that, and you saw the truth of it, and you didn't want to live your life like that. You wished them peace, you listened to your intuition, and you moved on, and you did face your fears, and you did speak your truth. What's going on at the middle of the reading? The Hermit, which is also Virgo energy. And again, the Hermit can talk about, am I willing to look at those things that I keep hidden in the dark, that I don't want illuminated? Some people are quite immature, maybe full of themselves, maybe materialistic, overwhelmed, but they never want to look at those things they keep hidden in the dark. And they just think magically maybe those things will go away. Like, I have an answer. Let's go get a new job, in a new friendship, in a new relationship. That will be the answer. But as long as they're not willing to deal with the truth, the devil is always going to be there. All those things that manipulate them are going to keep being there if they're not willing to reveal the truth. What's at the end of the story here? The Seven of Wands, which, like the Strength card, is Leo energy. Some people hide that they are more aligned with being about themselves, that it can be, I think it's just and fair. I don't have to be authentically myself, because that's a free will choice. And instead, maybe because I have status, ego, image, or the way I view the world, is that I can keep being indulging my more immature nature. Maybe because I look like I have justice in the world. I look stable, grounded, attractive, charming, have social clout, uh, know how to have sex with people or something. The pentacles can be anything that people use to try to get people to get in a relationship with them. And some people think, well, because of these things of the world that I have, or how I look, or whatever, I think there's other people in the world who, because I look like I have what other people want in the world, or I look like I'm just and fair and stable and grounded or mature, there's other people in the world who don't know the truth about me. And I think I can hide the truth. And I think I can make them an offer for them to move forward with me in a relationship. Eventually, they might come to realize the truth, but I will use all these things about me to try to manipulate someone, and the devil thinks they're God, uses these things of the world to entice people to get in relationship with them, using more of these worldly things to try to get people to be in relationship with them. And then they're hoping that even when people get in a relationship with them, because they're kind of tempted by these things more of the world, what I look like, my status, my image, my social clout, my money, my attractiveness, or I have sex with them and they want to have sex with me, that by the time they do see the truth, that shadowy people are hoping, because it looks just and fair, it looks like it has these things of the world that we want, that other people will just be willing to hide the truth and keep defending staying in a relationship with them, because it does look just and fair, and they have fear and insecurities, and they want to be in, part of our worldly nature. We do like to be in relationships with other people. Well, you got a friend. Well, you're in a relationship. Well, you got a job. Hoping that if they can lure someone in, that even by when someone does see the truth, that they will be like these shadowy people who are unwilling to stand up for themselves and temper in the strength card their fears and their insecurities and their more worldly nature. And they'll just keep moving forward with them in the Ten of Swords, kind of backstabbing themselves and unwilling to see the truth and kind of emotionally grow and mature themselves and believe in themselves and believe in their dreams and become independent of these people to go have a new beginning. And that's what some shadowy people are counting on. And we have to realize that some of the people that come into our life and that we've been in relationship with, this is how they view life. I think it's a little bit more about me, or I think it's a little bit more about these things of the world. Don't you want to be in friendship and relationship? Don't you want these things of the world? Don't you have your fear and your insecurities and want to be in a relationship and you want it to look good? And by worldly standards, it can look good. The devil can just represent that it looks like what other people in the world could maybe be jealous of. It's those things of the world that we want. And a lot of things about it can seem just and fair. And it's just that it doesn't feel like people are really being authentic. That's shadowy Scorpio. This card is Leo, but you're either really being authentic in a relationship, have tempered your ego nature, quit indulging your more immature nature, get balanced, you have your dualistic nature. I'm going to do this work to be inspired to not let my more worldly egoic nature run my life. I want to live my more authentic life. I don't want my ego running my life. I'm going to do this work and I have to get out of my ego. I want to learn to emotionally invest in, that's kind of the Queen of Pentacles. I want to emotionally invest in being inspired to be more independent in the Nine of Pentacles, which is also Virgo energy. We either, hopefully we go on these lessons in life to learn, which I think a lot of us for the first 30, 40 years of our life, we're really caught up in the world. And we really want the world to like us, and we can kind of not, and we don't even really know who we are. We're just going out there in the world, we kind of have some semblance of an idea of what we think is right and wrong and just and fair, and but we're kind of not really willing to. We just go on this journey to learn these lessons, and we get in all these different friendships and relationships, and some of them that we get in was kind of like, huh, you know, um, what you think is just and fair, isn't what I think is just and fair, and hopefully we go on this journey, and as we do, hopefully in our high vibe Virgo energy, we kind of are willing to get out of being maybe more codependent. And it's like, hey, I love you. Nothing, you have the free will to live your life whatever way you want to live it. But I just don't think that's my truth. I think either I would have to put in most of the work and effort, is what the Ten of Wands can be, to seem to get this to grow and mature itself, or these people to grow and mature themselves, or they want me to do most of the work and they want me to indulge them. And I don't want to do that, and so I'm going to face my fears, stand in my truth, get out of my ego about it, and I'm going to move forward in my life and become more independent. And hopefully we do that through all these different phases of life. Yeah, I was 18. Yes, I was 21. Yes, I was 25. I don't want to stay there all my life. And some people in our life do want to stay at these different phases of life. And even though they could feel overwhelmed, they have fear of maybe being willing to be more independent. They could have their emotional nature that turns their back on their more creative, inspired, independent nature. And then they could have people in their life who don't want them to live their more authentic life. And so then it's kind of like, well, if those people aren't living their life that way, well, then I'm not going to live my life that way. Kind of groupthink. And other people aren't that manipulated by people. I would say high vibe energy offers peace and love to people. Some of those people, do I want to have a new beginning with you? No, that's over. I'm glad, you know, that, if anybody's healed, anybody's grown, anybody's matured, sometimes some people, they were so hurtful and unkind. It's like, if you work through some of those issues, I'm happy for you, but do I want to get more involved in a relationship with you again? No. Um, High vibe energy isn't operating from their ego, they're being authentic. High vibe energy wants to give birth to something new. Shadowy energy within ourself and in the world tries to stop us from giving birth to something new. So, like God, we could look at that maybe as the Justice card and the Judgment card, wants everybody in the world to free themselves from things that manipulate them. Get out of your ego about the past, offer love to the past, to let it go. Listen to your intuition. Do this inner work. It takes a lot of work. The Ten of Wands in Sagittarius energy is about higher learning and education. See the truth of what has tried to, you know, if you kind of looked at things from a perspective that, you are this creative, inspired creation of the universe, and you have your own more immature, shadowy nature within you that tries to stop you. And then in a world of duality, it's like sometimes when I think about these tarot readings, it's kind of like not as severe as in the Hunger Games, but it's kind of like there is going to be shadowy people in the world who are going to try to stop you from loving and believing in yourself because they don't love and believe in themselves. And they don't want you to get the justice you deserve, and shadowy energy can be trying to take from you or steal from you, like being a thief. Uh, if you are a just and fair and authentic and loving person, there's going to be people in the world who can be jealous of you because that's not the truth of who they are. And they don't want you to get the justice you deserve in the world. And they could be hurtful and unkind and unjust and unfair and do all these things, hoping it will be so overwhelming that you'll go into shadowy energy. And then if you kind of backstab and betray yourself and don't love and believe in yourself, or drive your life off into the ditch and quit dealing seeing through the illusion and seeing the truth and standing up for yourself, you might let go of that, and then they can kind of step in and say, see, it wasn't them, the authentic loving people, it wasn't them. They're not the truth. We're like the truth. And, but yet they did hurtful and unkind and unjust and unfair things to not be loving and encouraging of you. So by default, they can seem like they're more stable or grounded or balanced or abundant or loving, trying to get you to stop loving and believing in yourself. And I think some high vibe people are like, no, I got out of my ego about it. I wish you peace. I kind of was stuck and I was confused and I didn't know why you were acting like that. But I saw the truth and I decided I still believe in myself and believe in my dreams, but my dreams can only come into reality with other people who are inspired by truth and love. And I see the fact that you weren't. And so I just let go of you and I moved away from you. And I'm going to take the lessons I've learned and my own self worth and knowing my worth and value to face my fears, to speak my truth, to detach from you, and I'm moving forward in life differently to go get the justice I deserve. And now, when I go out in the world, um, it's just seeing the truth of, still going out in the world being just, fair, balanced, loving, treating other people the way you like to be treated. Some people can be down in the sun reverse, and you make offers to people to work together with them, and knowing the truth that everybody has their free will, everybody has their fears, their insecurities, their defensive nature, their prideful nature. Some of those people will move forward with you, and some of those people will be like, nope, I'm not going to do that. It's like, okay, well, I'm not going to keep feeling stuck. I'm going to keep moving forward and you do you. And I'm just not going to let people who are more shadowy, more, I don't know, the devil can be people who are more, and the Page of Swords and people's Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius energy. Their truth is they are kind of more about themselves for the world. If some people don't see how it would benefit them, like, well, what are you going to do for me? Oops, I got an alarm on my phone. Well, how would it benefit me to work with you more? Do you have status, image, clout, blah, blah, blah? If you don't, why would I want to be more involved or work with you more cooperatively? And it's just like, oh my gosh, okay. It's just like trying to get along with people in the world or at a workplace. And some people are full of themselves. Some people got a lot of growing up to do. And it's like, I just see the truth of who's kind of more shadowy and immature and who isn't. And just like you see the truth of it, other people in the world can see the truth of it. they're also looking, other high vibe people are listening to their intuition about who are the people who aren't just kind of wearing a false mask, who really is more authentic, who isn't more manipulative and prideful and immature and stubborn. And, you know, as you keep moving forward in your life, um, you could meet other people who kind of are in the same energy as you are. So the way I've kind of been feeling about the devil, yes, it can just mean people who are kind of aligned with the competition. Some people who think it's just and fair to be more immature and repeat patterns of the past and make their life more about themselves or the world. You are like the devil. You challenge our belief systems. You are like the danger zone. You want them, to learn these lessons, to heal and grow and mature themselves. It's like, get away from you. No, no, no. I don't want to be with you. I want to hang out with these people. These people don't challenge my belief system. These people don't require me to heal or grow and mature myself. And you could view them as like the devil in a way, because, you know, just that the philosophy of life, the foundation you live your life from, is completely like polar opposites. But sometimes we can get in friendships and relationships with people and we don't realize that for quite a long time into the relationship, that really what drives and motivates them. We could all have people in our family, in our friendship group, people we have been in long-term friendships or relationships with. And, you know, it can take a long time till we realize really what ultimately drives people. And the Page of Swords, representing all three of the air sign energy, is Libra, what you think is just and fair. Aquarius, kind of what your dreams are if you look at life from a higher perspective, or if it's kind of just more about you and the world and looking like a shining star in the world. And Gemini, what your truth is. And, sometimes, again, we, some of the people in our life, we know them well enough and we kind of know what drives and motivates them. Other people we don't know well enough. And some people, say if they're our siblings, our parents, our adult children, um, you know, they're part of our family anyway. They maybe really don't want to hang out with us and spend a lot of time with us. We maybe don't really want to hang out with them and spend a lot of time with them because our truth is different and what we kind of think is just and fair. But so long as everybody accepts that everybody's different, hopefully treat each other with the way that you like to be treated, we can all generally get along. But who are we going to want to be in a more involved friendship with or relationship? Some of those people, uh, some people right now could be kind of finding out that odds are people are aligning with people who are more on the same page as them. It's just that the people who harness this energy kind of more in a high vibe way see other people in relationships with people who align with their truth and they view life the way they view it and make their life about what they make it. You could think, oh my gosh, like that's toxic. And the devil card looks just like the lover's card, except there's chains and shackles on them. It's kind of oppressive and confining and manipulative and oppressive and using the love that people have for each other to like manipulate them, or their lust or their greed or their codependency to manipulate them. Basically, just using the love someone can have for them to manipulate them. And some of those types of people are watching you live your life and move forward with people who are more on the same page as you, and they could think, oh my God, that's toxic. You know, can you believe, you know, they're not operating more from their ego, that they have this hope and faith and belief and love, and they think that, they're going to get justice in the world, that these people don't have a clue. Life is a dog eat dog world, and you're supposed to get in relationships with people to have this stability and this security. You need to get out of these illusions you have, and do like we're doing and get in relationships with people to have these things of the world. It doesn't matter if you don't love them. It doesn't matter, you know. And you see them living their life like that, and they make those things of the world, or being more about themselves, or being indulging someone, or someone indulging them. I think those people haven't been illuminated to the truth, and they think I haven't. And that's okay. Judgment day will come. It'll all pan out eventually, and we'll see. I think people who emotionally invest in loving themselves and knowing their worth and value don't want to be in relationships with people who they think are more immature, codependent, bossy, controlling, more about themselves, and those people think it's just and fair. It's like, I've already been in relationships with people like that. Thank you. No, thank you. Not anymore. And then the shadowy people are going to look to go find someone else, and could be in relationships with new people, people who haven't been illuminated to the truth of who they are, that they can create this illusion about the type of person they are, and try to get someone else to indulge them and put in all this work and effort, because the devil wants to be indulged. I want you to put in the work and effort. I gave these things of the world that I have, or I'm attractive, or whatever. You should do all this stuff, and I shouldn't really have to. That's their idea of love. And because you love me, and I got you in a relationship, and you're authentic, maybe, and loving, well, now that's how I view life, and that's what I think is just and fair, and this is my idea of the dream life. Don't you? And some people said, I can have love for you, but I'm not going to stay stuck in a relationship with you being in that energy. And I will face my fears, and I will become independent of you. And I will go have a new beginning and take the lesson I've learned from this to move on. And then the shadowy people who try to hide the truth will go out and try to find someone else to manipulate to get in a relationship with them. What's coming up for some people who are in some high vibe Scorpio energy, who are maintaining balance within themselves, have learned all these lessons in life, taking the lessons that they've learned, inspired to close out an old cycle, to have a new beginning, have spoken their truth in love to different people in their life, to see who's on the same page and who's not. And if some people aren't, they're working through their ego about the fact that they're not, and to close out a cycle and move on. What do they not see coming? A card not showing itself, and the reason is because of the Six of Wands. What is it? The Strength card. So, from the Ten of Wands down to the Six of Wands, it's letting go of the Four of Wands. Some of you could be detaching kind of from an Aries. You could be detaching from other people who, in their Aries energy of self, it can be more about the self, because Aries energy is about the self. You're being authentic and honest. You're not operating more from your ego. And I think that is the best strategy in the world. Just go out in the world, be truthful, be honest, be willing to work together. The pages are like, can we get along? I'm not asking anything more. I'm not trying to demand anything. Can we just get along and work together? Socialize out in the community, whatever. And listening to your intuition about who seems to be receptive to that, who doesn't, moving away from the people who don't. They operate from a different foundation than you operate from. Their truth is obviously different than your truth. And you just listen to your intuition about who seems to be more shadowy, who doesn't. As you move away from people who you intuit are more shadowy. Uh, you can always have other people in your life that you could wish would work, offering love and encouragement to, for them to work through their issues. But so we can always be a loving and encouraging person in people's life, but am I going to indulge you if that's kind of how you're living your life? No. Am I going to get in a more involved relationship with you? No. But I can always be a loving and encouraging person, and then you have the free will if you want to do that work within yourself. And could have had hope that some people would work through those issues. Some of those people will work through those issues and their fears and their insecurities or their self-limiting beliefs. And some of those people will communicate maybe that truth to you and move forward with you, being less about it having, I guess, Aries energy is fire sign energy. Like here we have fire sign energy. Again, in our fire sign energy, we can just be more caught up in all these things of the world and ourself and all these things that we make really important. And the people who kind of get out of their ego in a more shadowy way. And high vibe Leo is, and that's what some people don't know about you, is that, and this card wasn't showing itself, some people who try to kind of manipulate you, control you, be hurtful, be unkind to you, they have a lot of things and people in their life that manipulate them. And they never do this work to stand up for themselves because, well, for one, it takes work and effort. And they'd have to stand up for themselves and they'd have to temper their fears and insecurities. And I view high vibe Leo as loving yourself. And that's what some people didn't realize about you. And some people thought they could intimidate and control you and manipulate you, but they did not see the truth that you harness your Virgo energy different and your Leo energy different. And the Six of Wands is Leo also. That you are inspired by truth and love. And that if people are hurtful and unkind, you will do this inner work within yourself to give yourself what you wish other people would have given you. And you don't give up your dreams. You just see that they operate from a different foundation and philosophy of life, and you move on. And you don't stay in your ego about it. But other people can really stay in their ego about things like that. Well, why didn't that person like me? Why doesn't that person let me be part of their clique or their group? I want to be part of that group. Why don't you view me a certain way so I can be part of that group? And it always bugs them and it manipulates them. It's like, how about, why do you so badly want to be a part of that group? What is it? Ego, image, status? Why not just go find people who are more kind of on the same page as you? But some people are kind of in their ego, hide that they operate more from their ego. Even people they could talk poorly about, they view those people as having a certain status or image in the world that they want, and they want to be a part of it. And that's really important to them. And so, uh, but they maybe don't want to see the truth about why those certain types of people, like a certain clique group or whatever, why, if they, because I just don't think that the clique group they'd want to be in, or I think it would be people they view as being able to get away with being kind of more immature, and people view them a certain way anyway. And that's kind of, I think, maybe what they want. Let's go see what's coming up for people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Scorpio energy that they might not see coming. Another way to read this is that just people who harness some high vibe Scorpio energy want, they're balanced within themselves and they'd like justice. They're not willing, we can all be kind of tempted in our worldly nature to take action more out of pride and ego, but they don't want to take action more out of pride and ego. They're offering peace to the past and listening to their intuition, doing this inner work to keep moving forward, to detach from some people in their life that they know are kind of shadowy, facing their fears, speaking their truth. And I think they're going to move forward in the Six of Wands victoriously and successfully because they're not taking action more out of ego. They're taking action more out of truth and love for themselves and offering other people peace. I have no intention. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to be in an energy of like revenge or anger because that's not the soil kind of like I want to grow my life from. So I wish you peace. You be and feel however you want to be and feel. You know, I think high vibe people would have tried to work together with people in truth and love, excessively so, where it was imbalanced. And it's like, not anymore. That's not love. And I see the truth that that might be what it takes to be in a relationship with some people. And I'm not willing to do that. And I'm going to go look to communicate with people in the world, in my past, in my present, in my future, who is on the same page as me and who's not. And willing to work with the people who are willing to work with you, and the people who you've communicated your truth and love to. Not going to stay in your ego about that either. I wish you peace. I accept the truth and I move on. What's coming up for people who harness a more shadowy Scorpio energy? We have the High Priestess, the Five of Wands, and the Ace of Cups. Why? Because of the Queen of Pentacles. The shadowy people are hiding that they have inner conflict about love. And that's kind of their philosophy of life. I don't know that I do want to do love. I get hurt doing love. I'd have to be more authentic. I'd have to be more vulnerable. I'd have to work through why I have inner conflict about love. I view it as the danger zone. I don't want to do it. But the bad thing is shadowy people like to be in a relationship with the competition. They don't really want to be in a relationship with someone like themselves. Because the thing is, we all like to be in relationships with people who are loving and nurturing and warm and encouraging and supportive. It's a great environment. You thrive in that type of environment. So then they try to get in relationships with people who are more tempered in their ego, more authentic, more mature, who are more nurturing and loving. But then those people eventually kind of see the truth of them and they're hoping, well, I'm hoping you'll be defensive to getting out of it. What would people say? Won't you stay in it anyway and just create an illusion? Keep going with the illusion that it's love? And some high vibe people are like, no, I can have love for you, but I can't stay in a relationship with you because you have inner conflict about willing to emotionally grow and mature yourself. That's the problem. At any stage and relationship that we're in, everyone can maybe have to emotionally grow and mature themselves somewhat, right? Temper themselves a little bit. And the more immature and egotistical people are, the less they're willing to temper themselves. So, anybody you get in a relationship with, if that other person is kind of a little more immature or prideful, they're going to have a little more of a problem being willing to temper their ego and be willing to learn lessons in life. But they can always go see if there's someone they can try to manipulate using these things of the world. Or if they know I've already been in relationships with people. I don't want to be in relationships with people who want me to change. I want to be in relationships with other people who need to change. So we can all tend to like to be in relationships with people who don't challenge us to grow and heal and mature ourselves. And instead, we get in relationships with people who are more immature than us to a degree because it's them who needs to change. And we can seem like we're this loving, nurturing person, kind of sacrificing ourselves for that person. And some people like to play that role and kind of being a martyr, and they like other people to view them as that type of person. It's all these kind of relationship dynamics that people like. Some people like to be in relationships with people who fight and argue with them. Can you imagine? Uh, if I'm in a relationship with people who aren't fighting and arguing with me and competing with me, is kind of what the Five of Wands and shadowy Leo energy can talk about. Well, I'm competitive and I like to compete with the people. I like to try to defeat the person I'm in a relationship with. That's the kind of relationship dynamic I like. It's like, oh my God, yes, please go find someone else to get in a relationship with so you can be competitive with your relationship partner and try to show them how much better you are than them and cause them inner conflict. And, it's like a false sense of empowerment. And there's a lot of different ways people can try to have a false sense of empowerment. And some people are kind of have an unhealthy attachment to someone because they might either because they're more materialistically motivated and that person has that money that they want and they really want to be in a relationship with that person. They could have loving people in their life, but they have a problem with that because, like, no, I want the money. Or some of these people, the shadowy people, are going to get in relationships with people who are going to remind them of people in their life who they have unresolved issues with. And they don't realize how those unresolved issues affect them. And if they get in a relationship with someone who kind of reminds them of that person, whether they're consciously aware of it or not, because in order to free ourselves, we have to look at those issues. And if we're not consciously willing to look at those issues, I think we will be drawn and attracted to getting in relationships with people who kind of represent that issue, or they have traits and characteristics of ways of interacting in a relationship that we have experienced before, but we haven't acknowledged the truth to ourselves. And so then we'll get in a relationship with someone who kind of has those similar traits and characteristics, like trying to get them to see that you should love me. I had people in my life like that when I was young and they didn't love me and they had traits and characteristics like you. But now that I'm an adult and I can get in a relationship with you and I can show you how loving and nurturing I am and you can be in a romantic relationship with me, I am sure the devil will change. Like if you grew up with people who were an alcoholic, you grew up with people who were bossy and controlling, you grew up with people who were prideful, you grew up with people who were cold or detached, you can get in relationships with people like that again because it is an unresolved wound that we haven't been willing to deal with. So I think some of those people are going, and that's part of this journey in life. We could think, oh, I don't want to get in a relationship maybe with someone that I could be attracted to because I was attracted to some other people and it didn't work out the way I wanted. Well, if you look at it that every relationship, I mean, use your discernment. If you know you kind of can be more attracted by the superficial and the shallow or the immature, but you really don't like the superficial, shallow, and the immature, yeah, quit kind of getting in relationships with people like that. But maybe to even figure out, well, why am I drawn and attracted to them? But we can be drawn and attracted to people because they could be someone that could, if we haven't learned the lesson yet, and it might be a painful lesson, have we emotionally grown and matured ourselves or have we not? And those relationships will kind of force us to do that, or it really can throw our life off into the ditch. And that's why some people don't want to do it, because it was so going to throw your life off into the ditch before. But am I willing to let my fear stop me from moving forward with people that, I'm just not willing to let my fear run my life. I'm willing to face my fear. I'm going to have new beginnings with people who challenge me to be more authentic and honest and balanced and just and fair. I'm going to be that way. I'm going to listen to my intuition. If they're in that energy, if they're not in that energy, I am willing to speak my truth. I'm not as codependent as I used to be. I'm not as more immature as I used to be. Seeing the truth that some people have a lot of inner conflict with love. They want to be in a relationship, but it can be more indulging themselves in it. And it's like, well, I'm going to let you go indulge yourself in a relationship with someone else. And I'm going to go get in a relationship with someone who's more inspired by truth and love. And if you want to be in a relationship with someone more for the money or the materialism or the status or the image, hey, go knock your socks off. You'll find out what it's like to be in a relationship with people who don't, when you're not in a relationship with them for the right reason, or you come to realize they're not in a relationship with you for the right reason. And you'll maybe come to realize that being in a relationship for being in a relationship isn't enough. Being in a relationship for all the perks or benefits or whatever is not enough. But if you haven't learned that lesson, you keep doing that. I'm moving on with people who don't want to be in a relationship with people for those reasons. Some shadowy people could be really trying to get someone to move forward with them in a relationship or maybe get married. For the shadowy people want to do it for their own ulterior purposes. And some of the people in their life, the divine is trying to tempt them, and loving and encouraging people in their life are trying to encourage them to just listen to your intuition. Do you think this person has good motives? Do you have good motives? This isn't going to work out if both people don't have good motives. Both people have to be on the same page. And I think some of the high vibe people in their life are going to wish them peace and love, but eventually some of those people are going to move on. And if people were trying to get people to get in a relationship with them for the wrong reasons, yeah, I think those people will be mad. So now they got to go find someone else for their ego or their image or their lust or their greed to get in a relationship with. And they got to start over. And they're really mad that other people won't stay in a relationship with them more for these worldly reasons. And they could like to control people, but they can't control other people's intuition. And if people are in their high vibe Scorpio, connected in with themselves emotionally, they're more connected with their intuition, not operating more from their ego nature to cloud their judgment. Those people do listen to their intuition, and those people move away from them. And the people who might stay are just other people who got some lessons to learn, like some other people have had to learn from these people. And then the time will come where those people have to decide if they think it's worth staying in that job, friendship, or relationship with people like that, or if they're going to move on. So there you go, Scorpio. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.